Hey, Ryan with Premier Seal Coating. How's it going, folks? Well, in my ever-ending quest to bring you knowledge,
Confucius say, he who wait for WD-40 wait all day.
I have an issue. I want to show you, and it's good for explaining scenarios in certain situations. What do we got? Okay, so here, this is a court that we did down in Westport. Now, when we originally came to look at this court, I'm trying to think. I look at a lot of courts, but when I initially came to look at this court, it was in rough shape. They had asphalt here. I had suggested that they do an overlay because, again, it's not up to me to spend people's money. If I was going to do it, I'd say, yeah, you need to rip this whole thing out and start new. But that's a lot of money, and I don't know what people budget, and it's not for me to assume when I look at somebody's house or their situation that they even want to spend that kind of money on something like that. You know what I mean? Like, just because people have a nice house or something, they have a tennis court, it doesn't mean they're frugal with their money. I mean, quite the opposite. These, people want to spend their money wisely. All right. So I suggested, hey, look, maybe overlay this with what's here. You don't really have that many cracks. You could get away with overlaying it. And they were very receptive to that. And then it got weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I had a paver lined up, and then they picked a paving company, which is fine. Who cares? They're like, but there wasn't much communication between me and that paving company. Like, this guy would show up like the basketball hoop. All right. I put this in, and when I finished, like, I asked him before I even started, I said, what are you bringing the grade up? They had already put the gravel down. They leveled it, rolled it, graded it, and then they were going to pave it in like 2 days. And I said, hey, let me get in there first and put the base in so that when you go over the top of it, it all, it'll mesh up, it'll look right. How high are you planning to go? Well, we're going to bring the grade up 3 inches. So when we came to do the installation on the court, all I had to do was make sure that my plate was at least 3 to 4 inches off of the surface, so that once the asphalt got in, and the plan was he was supposed to take the asphalt and put the asphalt right over the top of my footing, just so my nuts are. I explained this to him on the phone. He's telling me, oh, wouldn't you rather do this like after we're done? And it's like, no, you would rather me do it after you're done because you don't want to have to go around it. But for me to make this job to look its very best, you have to pave around it. So he called me, and he told me, oh yeah, it's all set. But then we get here to look at it, and they didn't pave around it. They paved around it, literally. They didn't fill in the hole. It was like, it was a mess. It was a mess, but we fixed it. But one other thing that we noticed when we came here to put the hoop in, nobody ever told us that they were going with a full overlay. I mean, a full rip out and replace. They had taken this section of the fence down, and nobody had said to us, hey, no, we didn't go with an overlay. And that's a big thing that we should have been told, because we would have came out and put the post sleeves in prior to them paving. But we came down here the day of, we saw that the hoop wasn't put in right, or that they didn't do the hoop right. And then we also noticed, we could have put the sleeves in. And I reached out to the guy, and he said, there's no time. So it's like, whatever, fine, we'll do it this way. We've done it after the fact before. But Herein lies the problem, and especially with new asphalt. And that's why this happened in the first place, okay? What happens is, when this court was put in like 60 days before we painted it, and we painted it, I don't know, a few weeks ago. What happens is it gets really hot, especially on that side. And this is, you know, I fucking know what I'm talking about, people. That's the thing. I know what I'm talking about. So this side of the court is in the sun all the time. All right, the ground gets very warm. Asphalt is still very soft. And what happened was, where the concrete meets, it pulled it. It made a little crack. Now on this side, where the pavement temperature doesn't get as hot as, and I'm going to get my laser so I can show you the difference in surface temperatures one to the other. I want to help prove my point. So what does that say? We have a surface temperature of 104. Well, we got 111. Come on. 116, 117, 118. 118.5 is the highest I've seen on that side. So let's come over here and we'll look at this side. $89. So we have 25, 30 degree difference between 35 degree difference between this side and that side. So that's why the cracks on this side are where, you know, here you got this tiny little thing that's starting to form. Now, how do you fix this so that it doesn't come back? Because this court is going to continue to cure. The asphalt's going to stay soft. So how do you go about fixing that? Well, what we do is, and you'll see, I'm going to make a little video, is we mix up some stuff. In this case, we wouldn't necessarily have to use it for that. But on the other side, we mix up some patch binder. We put some patch binder over it. And then we basically just use the right way paper. It doesn't need the adhesive portion of it, but we're going to use the white and the yellow jacket just to go over it so that that doesn't continue to happen, you know. And if it does, it happens underneath the patch. And then we're going to have to color it to hide it. You know, they sent me another picture too of like a tiny little, it looked like a pine needle, it looked like a pine needle top, but it was a crack, and I don't even know where that is. I've been walking around. I just found the other crack, and this is why I hate working around pine trees, because when I saw it, I thought, that's weird, that shouldn't have cracked like that. Well, like, why would that have cracked like that? But now I can see, when I look down inside there, maybe you can see it too, there's a pine needle that worked its way into that crack. Well, what happened was there was a pine needle in there, and then the pine needle came off. So if you're building a tennis court, you want to get those post sleeves in prior to the paving. And if you don't, and you got a fast turnaround, it might be smart to overlay those repairs with right way paper first, so that if this happens, you know, you're not forced like I am to come out and deal with it. Okay, so that's all I got. That's how we are going to cut out our patch for going around the post. So I'm going to take a roll of tape like so, hold this with my chin, and go like this. Just give you an idea. Alright, Now I know where that goes. I'm going to cut that out. Stand by. All right, and that's what we're left with. We got 2 of those. Where'd the other one go? Where are you going? We're going to go put some CRA down. That's the glue. We'll glue it. We'll glue it down. And glue it down. Put some yellow jacket around the edges. And coat it and we's out of his.